I'm Stephen John Drew from the official GonnaGeek.com show, a weekly geek news podcast that is a part of the Gonna Geek Network, just like the show you're checking out now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other awesome geeky shows at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
Stand by for a brand new episode of All Things Good and Nerdy.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 520 of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. This is recorded live on March 30th, 2023. I am Chris. I am not using our AI overlords to do our intros, outros, and transitions this week because I think one time is enough. One time, it's enough. But don't worry. I may not have the AI overlords to help me, but I do have my regular band of misfits, my regular co-hosts, my internet pals. We'll start first with Willie D. Nelson.
I am he who is called I am.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know. It could be a Sam I Am reference. I don't know.
Read your Bible, sirs.
We're also joined by Mr. Anthony Bachman.
Negative. I am a meat popsicle.
Didn't you use that last week too, or was it 2
I
weeks
use
ago?
it all the time, and will probably keep using it until someday you get the reference.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. Chris hasn't seen it.
That's how I know the reference.
All about it.
That's how I know the reference, because every time you're like, Chris doesn't get the reference, so I'm like, oh, I know exactly what it's from. Then thank you for. Now I don't have to watch because I understand the reference. Thank you.
No, you do have to watch because you don't get the
no,
reference. You just know what movie it's from. You don't get the reference.
That's good enough. I got Google for anything else.
You are not Captain America saying, I get that reference. You do not get that reference. You just know what movie it's from.
Yeah,
that is not the same thing.
Well, Bachman, he's Team Iron Man anyway. He's wrong all the time.
Tony
it
was
doesn't
right.
matter.
He
can be wrong.
Yeah, Cap was
Yeah,
wrong.
big government is the answer, right?
Wait, did you say Cap was wrong?
Yes.
You've never read any of the right stories in because Cap was never wrong. Cap's always
Cap
right.
was a Nazi 3 years ago in the comics.
Remember, Chris is a fascist. He wants government control over everything.
He literally ran Hydra and conquered the Earth.
Wasn't he mind controlled?
No, they turned it into a piece the Cosmic Cube did some nonsense and bullshit.
It was like Cosmic Cube wish fulfillment bullshit.
I don't remember.
It created
the Cosmic Cube's now an evil genie.
The Cosmic Cube became a little girl.
It became a kid.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, a genie still. It's granting wishes. It has a human form. That's weird.
Pretty much. Yeah.
An evil genie that twists the wishes.
Yeah, it basically caused an alternate timeline where Steve Rogers as a child was saved by a Hydra agent and so joined Hydra as a child.
Yeah.
Which was utterly ridiculous.
And then got spun of, look how edgy this is. I'm like, no, this is dumb.
Yeah, but also, to be fair, in that world where Hydra, Captain America, decides to take over, you notice he did it. And he won. He took over the entire planet and kicked all the Marvel Universe's ass. You can't beat Cap. If you got Cap on your side, you're going to win. Because the Hydra in that world didn't lose, if I remember correctly, until Cap went back to being the real version of Cap.
Look, all I got to do is have the right flip of the coin and snap my fingers and he'll be dead.
Yeah, well.
Look, had that coin, had the snap gone another direction, he'd be dead, man.
The important thing about the snap is that Hulk saved everybody, not Tony Stark. Hulk gets no credit.
Well, I mean, Tony built the gauntlet.
Yeah, so Hulk could wear it. It's mostly gamma radiation. It's like I was made for this. Hulk saved half of the living entities in the known universe, and Tony Stark gets all the credit because he took out Thanos' army. Whoop-de-doo! He killed, 1,000 people. Big deal.
I mean, the Earth would have been overrun and pretty much destroyed had they not killed Thanos and his army.
Thor already killed him once in that movie. They could have killed him again.
Thor could have potentially, but Thor was a bit different. He was a bit not right in the head and a bit out of conditioning.
Ice Cream Dad bod Thor.
I mean, I'm not disputing that. It worked for Thor.
One of my favorite Thors. the fact that Chris Hemsworth had spent so many, not even hours, but years, just becoming this huge, like he physically looks like an action figure at this point. Like he doesn't even look like a human, especially when we look at the fourth Thor movie. When he's standing next to other people, he doesn't look human at this point. He looks like a He-Man action figure brought to life. That's how impossible his physique is. And the fact that he covered it in a giant fat suit is one of my favorite things, because Chris Hemsworth had to think that was ridiculous. Every time he was putting on that suit, he's like, why am I doing all these crunches? Why am I doing these bear crawls with my, my Centerville app that I'm telling people how to work out, and I'm in this great shape so that I can wear a fat suit?
Well, I think it's probably more likely that when they got to filming that part of it, he realized, oh, I'm wearing a fat suit. I don't have to go quite as hard for my ongoing conditioning. Like he'd gotten jacked and stuff for Infinity War, but
on the film, he probably was able to relax a little bit. I mean, them arms didn't quit at all. So yeah, he was maybe just in the back just doing curls.
My own personal headcanon is like all the other folks are in the gym working out to keep that superhero physique going, and you got Hemsworth that walks in with like a protein shake and just starts laughing and watching them because he's like, I don't have to do this shit. I'm wearing the fat suit for this movie.
Yep. He's like, finally, I ain't got to do nothing.
Now I doubt that was the case, but that's my own personal headcanon.
Yeah, what I'm hoping is that at some point, if they do go forward with like the Riri Williams stuff, I do hope we get like the Tony Stark AI, so that we get the swap where the guy that played Vision, I can't think of his name.
Paul Bettany.
He used to give Robert Downey Jr. so much shit because he's like, I show up in my PJs and do some voiceover in a movie and I make almost as much money as you. And Robert Downey Jr. laughed his ass off when he had to show up as Vision and like have dots on his face and start playing a character. He's like, yeah, now you have to work, motherfucker. It would be hilarious if going forward where we have this other version of Paul Bettany as Vision, where he might end up playing multiple versions of himself again. Like if he's in, a suit and all the makeup, and then Robert Downey Jr. showing up to do voiceover for Riri's AI in her headset. He's like, haha, I'm in my PJs and I'm making more money than you. Because they'd have to pay him out the ass to even come back and do that.
Yeah, that's why I think they might do, it's young Tony or whatever. He programmed himself to be young, because we had the Kid Tony stuff in the comics.
That's true. They did.
I don't know.
Kid Tony Stark for a while.
I think it all depends on what they set up in Armor Wars is going to give us an idea of what may be happening in regards to if there's an AI Tony coming back or not, which I guess got turned into a movie, if I'm remembering how we
it's weird because at one point it was supposed to be a Marvel Disney Plus series, and now it's supposedly a movie. So I mean, I think the only thing that's confirmed is that we have Don Cheadle as War Machine, and everything else is up in the air. Like we don't know if it's going to be like Obadiah Stane or one of his kids, or who's going to be the bad guy. Is it going to be just them fighting Hammer Industries and 1,000 knockoff poorly made suits that don't work?
It'd be interesting if they could do the Ezekiel Stain stuff, but they've already done Extremis, so...
Yeah, exactly. So, if you do Ezekiel, what do you do if you don't have the Extremis story to use?
Maybe he masters nanotech or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, I want to say through Marvel history, they've done Armor Wars at least 3 times.
Probably,
it's I don't know why, but it's not something I was ever really interested in. It was never annuals that like hooked me, but I know they've done it multiple times, so it's definitely something that they've got source material to pull from. It's just because it's like, well, if you're gonna do it live action once, like which version do you do? Because I like the Extremis thing, but like the version of it in the comics was just, I mean, it was Warren Ellis, so it was just so much better written than it heats up your body and lets you heal. It's like it gave Tony Stark control of satellites with his brain.
That's why it didn't exist in the MCU, because he's OP if Extremis worked like it worked in the comics.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he is. And it works very well in a comic book and not so much in like a live action movie. Because like, how do you show Tony Stark is controlling satellites with his brain? Like it's one of those things that's really good as a piece of text in a comic book that wouldn't work as well when you're converting it to other media.
Yeah.
Because showing him thinking real hard and then a satellite moves, it just doesn't work.
Exactly. That's why not all things can be adapted to work in the MCU. It's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah, no, and it's why good adaptations are awesome, because some things are meant for certain media. That's why it's weird, because I guess they've gone forward with Kevin Smith was saying Onomatopoeia is going to be in like a movie or a TV show or something. And
I can't remember which one though.
it's the strangest character to bring into live action, because for anybody that doesn't know, Onomatopoeia is basically like a mercenary assassin hitman, like normal person, but like a serial killer psychopath in a Green Arrow book that Kevin Smith wrote. And it worked perfect for comic books because Onomatopoeia was the type of character that would walk up to you, pull out a gun, say the word bang, and then pull the trigger. And so what the character said was the onomatopoetic sound effect of what was about to happen. And so, like, he'd say bang and shoot you with a gun. He'd grab a guy, beat him up, say crack, and then break his arm. And so on the page, like, it really works really well. I don't know how the fuck they're going to do that in live action in a way that doesn't seem really strange.
I don't know either, but he's in Superman and Lois right now. I guess he premiered in the season premiere.
That's what it was. Yeah, I remember Kevin was saying that like that character showed up, and yeah, like him and Phil Hester, like I guess he like emailed Phil Hester like, "Hey, we're about to get paid," and Phil Hester's like, "I had a character on one of the Arrow shows, that ran for 7 years, and I made like $60." He's like, "You're not about to buy a new house, Kevin. Onomatopoeia live action is awesome, but we're gonna get $12." Which it is kind of sad the way that those deals are structured, to where companies like DC and Marvel can use these characters. I mean, I don't know. It's something where it's a hard thing to nail down with all the contracts and stuff, but it's like almost every creator deserves like the Stan Lee thing. It's like, okay, Marvel's just going to give you $1 million a year while we put your characters in movies, because they're making billions, and not everybody is the chairman emeritus cashing $1 million paycheck every year because their name's on stuff. But a lot of these comic writers really should be. Like, there's, especially if you look at, like, I'm trying to think who was the Winter Soldier. Is it Rucka?
No, that was oh my god, why am I having a brain fart all of a sudden?
Yeah, so I was thinking Hickman. I know that's not right. Jonathan Hickman's the one on the X-Men now. But yeah, like the guy who did the Winters, Brubaker. So yeah, so Ed Brubaker's written some of the greatest comic books ever. He said he wasn't even, if I remember correctly, he said he wasn't even invited to the premiere of Winter Soldier. That entire movie does not exist without his idea of bringing Bucky back and doing it in a good way. Because for those that don't know, there used to only be one rule in comics. There was one rule.
Two.
Only Bucky stays dead.
Uncle Ben.
Well, two rules, technically. Or one rule, two clauses.
Only Uncle Ben and Bucky
Uncle Ben and Bucky.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are two kind of the. But yeah, they've redone Uncle Ben like being resurrected multiple times, and
they did.
And it's never been real. Like, it's always been it's a dream sequence, it's a clone,
or it was Ben from an alternate universe that got yanked into ours.
Yeah, Ben from alternate universe. They've done a bunch of stuff, but I mean, in like the main continue of like the 616, Peter's uncle has stayed dead. There's just been like versions of things where they kind of showed the character. But yeah, Bucky was that character. It's like, okay, we killed this one character off way back in the day, and it's the only one no one's brought back. And it was kind of done really well. It's like, well, you don't need to bring him back. And like almost every other comic book character had been resurrected at that point, at least once. Almost, I mean, the X-Men die weekly now. Like, it's ridiculous because they have, Lazarus Protocol. So you can kill off any character in that book and just reboot them, which is hilarious the way Hickman's done that. But yeah, Brubaker did all of this work building up this backstory, creating this entire Winter Soldier character, leading up to Bucky literally taking over as Cap. Like, he became Captain America. Like, none of those movies happened without all of Ed Brubaker's work. And yeah, I guess he got like a couple $1,000s in the check and like wasn't invited to the premiere. It's like, really? You guys are going to make billions of dollars off these characters, and you can't throw a little more money towards the guys who actually created these stories?
Well, yeah, it's like Disney. They don't pay people unless it's in the contract, and then they try and get out of it in some cases. Just ask Scarlett Johansson.
Exactly. Yeah, it's fucking shitty. It is shitty, and it's something. Yeah, there's no company out there that doesn't need to be better at it.
Well, I mean, like we also live in a different age now too. Is I'm sure new characters and stuff get created, and there might actually be clauses in people's contracts that say, hey, here's movie right editions or something like that, because of the way a lot of this stuff works. You go back when Winter Soldier became a thing in the comics, no one was ever thinking there'd be a Captain America in the Winter Soldier movie.
Yeah, well, I mean, the real problem was, especially if you go back in the day, and I'm a huge Marvel zombie. I've always been pro Marvel like my whole life, but they had the worst bullshit legal shit set up where the back of your paycheck relinquished all rights to any work you had done for Marvel. So even if you were like work for hire and it wasn't in a contract that you created something that they owned, as soon as you signed your paycheck, they owned it.
Yeah,
How
there's
fucked up is that?
there's a lot of scuzzy publishers out there. I mean, and you look at some of the stuff that's going on now with how Action Lab's holding on to some stuff they shouldn't.
Oh,
There's some shitty
someone-
behavior out there.
as someone through like the first, I think 4 years of that publisher owned every single book that they had published, and I mean, got into it because of course our boy Sean Pryor, was a part of the founding of that company when he was running shit. It was great, and yeah, it has maybe taken the worst turn in comics, where like the only thing you hear now about Action Lab is how they're holding on to people's rights and that they're not relinquishing rights to characters that people created there when it was supposed to be like another kind of like image creator owned company. And yeah, it's super shitty.
Anthony Rutgazer has been on the show before too. Has talked about it numerous times in numerous Twitter threads about how Action Lab hasn't treated him and other creators well, and how he's still trying to get rights back for things that he was supposed to get back, or still get books out that they've decided they were going to publish that they weren't, or something along those lines.
Yeah, I think he said something like he has to buy like $40,000 worth of trade paperbacks of the first hero before they'll relinquish the rights to it. Like, what the fuck? He didn't tell you to print those?
Right.
All right, let me divvy this up. One for me, none for you. One for me, none for you.
No, it's more just like 1/4 portion.
Yeah.
And then I get 6 portions.
Well, I mean, in the grand scheme, one. What's the percentage of that 1 to? And then it's probably like, this is nothing. This is nothing.
Or if you want to equate it to some other similar sayings that go out, boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I poop on company time.
That's not the rhyme. You censored it.
Well, yeah, because...
Why? Yeah, why?
Force a habit, because I've said the exact same statement jokingly at my office before.
He says it in the work appropriate version.
Everyone has, all right? I heard that back when I was with my first job at a grocery store.
Man, I'm sure the worst thing that ever happened to these folks is the advent of Twitter and smartphones, because now people poop on company time for longer.
That's true. Social media does keep you on the toilet.
Yes, Twitter.
Or whatever reading you like to do when you're on the porcelain throne. I don't know, Willie.
It is dangerous that Kindle is on my phone.
Okay, if the only acceptable answer is the back of a shampoo bottle.
Or you could have like Reader's Digests in the bathroom too. That was the thing.
Because that's what you call it. Jesus Christ.
I don't know where he's going with this, and I'm very scared.
I don't know where I'm going with it, and I'm dying.
I'm
dying. Floundering here. I'm dead.
To be fair, Willie, we all start dying as soon as we're born. There's no staving it off.
To be fair, you die before you start dying before you're born.
Yeah.
We're all dying in the Sylvia Plath Bell Jar way. We're all dying.
Actually, no, you're right, Chris. Because stem cells. Yeah, we have access to stem cells when we're still inside. Right?
If you can find a way to escape death, you would be the first. Many have tried, all have failed.
Now, my understanding of stem cells are not that great, but I'm sure if you have access to stem cells, you can pretty much live forever, right?
Hackman. Sorry,
Hackman.
All I can think is that episode of South Park right now.
Yeah, I mean, South Park tells the truth a lot of things. I mean, look at Scientology, Mormons. I mean,
death is still batting 1,000.
I also enjoyed
the only motherfucker that's always winning.
The recent South Park, one of the recent ones, they riffed on Chat GPT, and it was quite hilarious because they wrote themselves into a corner and then literally put in a prompt into Chat GPT of how we get out of it, and that's how they ended the show, was what Chat GPT told them to do. And if you watch the credits, there's a writer's credit to, I can't remember which of the guys it is. I want to say it was Trey Parker and Chat GPT. Those were the writers for the episode.
Did the creators of Chat GTP get paid for that?
I have no idea.
They got a credit?
I have no idea.
I mean, like the unions in Hollywood have to have something to say about this, right? This is kind of weird, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't know how honestly you can take South Park's credits though either. Remember,
Fair
because
enough.
when they did the Scientology episodes, everyone had the same name in the credits. They didn't do any individual names. It was all one name repeated for everything. I think, except maybe Trey Parker and Matt Stones. I can't remember.
Yeah,
Fair
that way people
enough.
can't get singled out and attacked with religious zeal.
That's still one of the things that entertains me the
Well-
most, though, is Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys who make South
They
Park,
were.
basketball, all sorts of other stuff. Team America. They get into raunchy, whatever.
Steve Perry.
Squeaky clean because the Scientologists couldn't dig any dirt up on them because that's the playbook. Scientologists dig up all your dirt and try and air it.
Yeah.
If anyone's seen basketball.
Yeah. Always entertains
That
me.
used. So
I
one of
thought
my
we agree
favorites,
no more Journey psychouts.
It's one of my favorite soundtracks of all time. I bought that soundtrack, I think when I was in the Navy, and that was one that I used to play the hell out of. It is a great soundtrack.
I'm partial
Got a
to the
lot
Team
of-
America World Police soundtrack myself just because it makes me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one.
No, you just
I'm a big fan of Real Big
Matt
Fish.
Damon.
No, I like the montage song a lot. And it has ruined training montages in any movie going forward now because as soon as they start a training montage, I start humming the montage song from Team America World Police.
I don't have that problem, so I think I'm better off. Yay.
No, it's kind of entertaining. We're gonna have a montage. Can't do any more because of fair use.
I think
We
because
can.
I've only seen that
Up to
movie
15
once.
seconds, right?
Yeah, I don't even really remember that song.
Oh yeah, they do a whole training sequence after everything gets blown up, so that the one guy can go and save everyone from Kim Jong Il in North Korea.
Oh shit! I forgot that was a person. Yeah, Kim Jong Un's the only one I forgot about.
Well, I
Il.
mean, how long has Kim Jong Il been dead for? 10, 15 years?
I just
Yeah.
weird that I forgot all about him. That's the weird thing. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Just like I'm
Remember
sure there's
when
folks that watch
kid
the
was
old
the
episodes.
New. It's like,
There's
I wonder what he's gonna do.
there's folks that watch the old episodes of South Park or the movie and like Saddam Hussein, who? It was quite topical at the time. And for people that lived through that era, there's probably people that were born after Saddam has died that were watching that. They're like, who the hell's Saddam Hussein?
Now, I'm a little curious if you guys know this. This is a little bit of a tangent, a little tight,
Ooh, a
slight
tangent
tangent.
before we get to our news.
Yeah. So I've seen this image of like Steam hotspots, like where people are using Steam, and I mean, of course, the game launcher program, of course, what I'm mentioning, meaning by Steam. And there's like one little dot in North Korea, and people are thinking that's Kim Jong Un, who was like gaming on Steam.
I've seen that one before too.
Is that real?
That's possible.
I mean, that
I mean-
heat map, pretty much. Is that a real image? Is
It,
that
it
one
could
dot?
be. I think part of the sanctions that was under North Korea for a long time limited the kind of technology and stuff they could buy. So like they were smuggling in iPads and iMacs and stuff like that. And most of the tech that was even in the capital city was fairly old in comparison. I don't know what the current state is of any of
Chris,
those.
you know that I'm not talking about any old North Korean
I know.
regular civilian. I'm talking about the one running it.
It's possible.
And at the time, his son
I mean, it's possible.
of the
That
of
was
course,
always the gag that's what it was, but I don't know that
Yeah.
we actually know that for a fact. It's just people see
Well-
that data and assume it.
Well, I mean, no. Was that image with that? Was that one dot? Was that a real,
I assume
like,
so.
actual dot? That's
It
what I
was
was
on.
meaning.
It was off of Steam's actual site. So
Okay, I wasn't
I assume
sure if
so.
the image was real because I've just seen it so much. I never saw the original
at
placement
least
of it.
I assume it was. That's how I recall it. But we all know what the Mandela effect is like, so it's entirely possible.
All right, you can shut. We're not. We're never going to get to the Mandela effect unless you really want me to kick you square in the
No,
nuts.
I don't particularly
Yeah.
want to.
Kim Jong Il died in 2011. So yeah, his kid's been in charge for
12
12
years?
years now. Yeah.
And
Lynn's
Team
been
America
running
World
things.
Police was like
Yeah.
2005, I want to say. So, yeah, there's people that probably don't get the reference to Kim Jong Il in Team America World Police.
But Matt Damon will always be there. I love Matt Damon, so I don't even know why I use that joke. I love Matt Damon
Because it's a funny joke.
I mean, the guy from the Shoe movie.
The shoe movie.
Yeah, they're doing the Air Jordan film.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so now I'm just going to refer to him as the guys from the Shoe movie.
Affleck's in it too. So you got Affleck and Damon reunited.
Yep, to sell shoes.
And look, all I gotta say is Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
Yeah, so now they both just want to be
Also,
all
I've never
Bundy.
seen that movie.
Neither have I. I was just referencing a Kevin Smith movie.
Phantoms is great. Neither one of you seen Phantoms?
No.
Well, first of all, no, I was doing a joke, but no, I've never seen Phantoms. But Chris, you've never seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back?
Yes, I have seen Jay and Silent Bob.
You
Strike
just
Back.
said you didn't.
I said Phantoms. I hadn't seen.
Oh, I thought you were referencing Jay and Silent Bob
Yes,
Strike
I have
Back.
seen Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back multiple times.
But he hasn't seen Phantoms or The Fifth Element.
Yeah, and I only watched Jay and Silent Bob reboot once because I didn't really like it.
Oh yeah, same.
Well, come on,
I mean,
Iron
it
Bob
was
was
all
great.
right, but I mean,
Iron
it wasn't
Bob was
like
great.
I think it was all right. I didn't think it was great, but I didn't think it was bad. It was just, it was kind of, it was all right.
It was
I
cool
didn't
to
hate it.
It was cool to see those characters again, but
Yeah.
And to be fair, I'm trying to think the last Kevin Smith movie, and this is not me dogging on Kevin Smith. It's just I don't watch a ton of his stuff anymore. I think I rewatched Dogma recently just because I love Dogma.
How'd you watch Dogma?
Because I have the DVDs I bought many years ago, and
I can't find my DVD
and-
of it.
and let me continue.
God, I have the special edition.
I have the special edition too, and I ripped it and put it on my Plex server.
Mm-hmm.
So if
You
you
watched
want
it
to
as
watch
digital
it,
copy of it.
if
Where
you
you
want
get to see the shit monster battle.
if you want to watch it, I can give you access to my Plex server. Is what I was about to say.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind using it just for that, just so I can see that movie. But I want to watch that movie with someone, so I'll let you know when I want to do that.
Okay, I need to make
So
sure I have it
'cause
set up right
I
to
just
do
want
that.
a little tiny access for that one little time. You
I
can
don't
take
care.
it away.
I just have it running on my NVIDIA Shield TV. It's got a little Plex server built into it. So
I mean, Kevin Smith, you're doing it for a right reason, but I just want to watch Dogma.
Well, he can't
why
get-
you do it.
he can't get the rights back to it. Is the problem?
I know. Yes, I had that version.
I have that
had
version.
Still
Slide it
has the
out.
Hastings label on it. I paid $20 for it.
Oh, I paid $7
I
for
fucking
mine.
hate when they do that shit. I hate when. Yeah, that's the copy.
The
I
Yep.
have.
Dogma book.
I have no
The
idea
Book of
where
Dogma.
it went.
Well, to be fair, I bought mine in like 2004 at a little secondhand video game and movie store here in town when I was in college because like, oh, I want Dogma, and it was like $7.50 on their discount rack. And I was like, sweet. That was before it was hard to find though. That was holy shit, almost 20 years ago. God, I'm
Yeah.
old. God, I'm
That's a
old.
tough one to get now. Oh yeah, it's there. You know, some of the new stuff he's done has just been for fun, but man, Clerks 3, there's some shit in that movie that is hard to watch, and it fucking made me cry. Like that movie is good.
have it.
Yeah, it's of course Kevin Smith self-referential. Like it's literally the character he based on himself. Randall decides after a heart attack to make a movie. So in the movie Clerks, he makes the movie Clerks. So in Clerks 3, Randall is making Inconvenience, which was like the original title for the Clerks movie. But yeah, it's really fucking good. Like my fiance got it for me for Christmas. I sat down and watched it by myself, and like I cried at the end of it. And I have only rewatched it once because it's funny. It's got the goofy shit in it as well, but there's some scenes that are hard to watch because they're so well written and well acted. Like it's really fucking good. I still think like it's
Without
weird because,
spoiling, it gets real.
No.
Let's just leave it at that.
yeah, it gets very real. But yeah, there's a line that one character says, and it's a line that's been repeated throughout the movie. But the last time you hear it, fuck, it hurts your heart. But yeah, I still think Red State is the best film Kevin Smith has ever made, which is weird because it's the least Kevin Smith of all of his films. But it's an amazing triumph of cinema. Red State is an amazing movie. Clerks 3 is, I think, the closest he's gotten to hitting that level as a filmmaker. Where, like, you can tell, like, this was one, it wasn't a joke. Like, it wasn't something he just did for fun. The Jay and Silent Bob movies are great, but he does them for fun. They're like he talks about, they're Dick and Fart joke movies. That's what they're supposed to be. That's the whole joke. Like it's just fun. It's fun going out filming with your friends, doing stupid stuff. You're having fun. But yeah, Clerks 3 is more him like leaning towards that Red State thing. It's like, no, I have a story I want to tell with the characters that I own, and I'm gonna tell the fuck out of this story. Clerks 3 is it's fucking awesome. It's an awesome film. Like, I love it. It is nowhere near like the fun of Clerks 2. Clerks 2 has a donkey show in it. Like, it's a great movie. I love it. It's got dance sequences. It's hilarious. Clerks 3 is nothing like Clerks 2. It's
you
a
watch
motherfucker.
your mouth about Kinky Kelly.
And the sexy stud.
I'm the stud.
Ow. I'm the stud. Ow.
Okay, you need to.
The fact that that guy is the one that does the documentaries about Kevin Smith movies is hilarious. The guy that played the sexy stud is also a filmmaker.
But Willie's the sexy stud. He's always here.
I'm blushing. I'm blushing so much.
Willie, we got to live vicariously through you. You're the one that gets to go out there and live the life.
I'd rather be home.
Yeah, me too. I'm old and tired. I'm old and tired. I'm always wanting to be home.
I'm about to have a tear come out. I'm so happy.
Well, we're going to give Willie a moment to collect himself. And while he collects himself, let's roll on in to the news of the week.
Live from the ATGN studios on the internet, it's the news of the week.
Welcome to the news of the week. It's that part of the show where we run down in our minds what some of the most interesting geeky and or nerdy news is here over the past week or so, and share with you guys who are watching live or listening at a later date. I'm going to let Willie go first. He had something that I think I just saw today pop up on the internet, so his news is the freshest. Let's go with the freshest news first. What do you got for us, Mr. Willie D. Nelson?
The illest, the freshest, the dopest in the world. Let's go with this. Let's just say a great movie that came out. When that come out? 2010? 2009, 2010?
I want to say that's it. Let me look.
It's
while
one
you're
of the
setting
two,
it
I
up.
believe. It's not 2011. It's 2010 or 2009. I don't even think
2010.
2008. But yes, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, written by Brian O'Malley. For the did Edgar Wright? He wrote the script for the movie, though, right?
I think.
Or he co-wrote it at least. I should have done some research about the movie, even though this is not about the movie itself. But Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is getting an anime treatment. Asterix on Netflix.
Okay. But
Netflix's track record's a little
Who you
bit,
calling an asterisk?
But
here and there.
one of their most recent animes was the Cyberpunk one, and that was fan-freaking-tastic.
And like I said, it's a little
Yeah.
here, a little there. It's a little bit everywhere. They do some good, they do some bad. Sometimes what I think is good, everyone else thinks is bad. Cowboy Bebop live action. I thought it was fan-fucking-tastic. Y'all are weird.
So I'll fully admit, when I saw this news, I didn't have the right context on it until shortly before we started the show, because it had popped up in my feed, and it was some of the fact of Netflix is doing a Scott Pilgrim TV show, and the original cast is coming back, and that's all I'd seen. And then a guy had quoted it and said, "Aren't they a bit old for that?" And I went, they might be a bit old to try and be teenagers. Then I was like, maybe it'll be animated. And then you told me it was an anime, and I went, oh, well, it makes perfect sense they can bring back the original cast, because it doesn't matter if it's been 12 years and folks that were in their 30s obviously look a bit older because they're in their 40s now. It doesn't matter how good your genetics are, your plastic surgeon is. You're going to start showing your age, whether you like it or not. It's a lot harder to play a 20-year-old.
Yeah. The Writings Guild credits list Brian Lee O'Malley for the graphic novels, so basically story by. Yeah. And then, Michael Bacall and Edgar Wright did the screenplay.
Okay, so Brian O'Malley had no hand in the actual movie script.
It looks like they took his books, and then Edgar Wright and Michael Bacall just turned it into the screenplay.
Well, Brian O'Malley
it's almost one for one.
He is co-writing the anime, and he's also going to be a co-showrunner. That's good
awesome
news. But
as it should be.
I mean, of course, I think Chris mentioned a little bit earlier. The cast from the movie is pretty much returning. Looks like in full. They haven't mentioned anyone that is not returning, and they haven't given a full list of everybody. But let's just go down the list. You got Scott Pilgrim himself, voiced by Michael Cera. Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers. I am so sorry. I do not know how to pronounce this one, but Satya Baba as Matthew Patel. I am
That
so
sounds
sorry.
right, yeah.
I am butchering that name. I
think
feel
it's
terrible about
I think
it.
it's Baba.
But Satya, Satya,
Satya, yeah, because that's like how you say
that
Satya
sounds so much
Nadella.
better. Yeah, okay, I got it. That's how.
Yep.
Kieran Culkin as Wallace Wells, Chris Evans, Lucas Lee, Anna Kendrick as Stacy Pilgrim, Brie Larson as Envy Adams, Allison Pill as Kim Pine. That was my crush in the movie. I'm not gonna lie. She can drum her ass off.
She's in the first
Sex
2
the
seasons
bomb.
of Star Trek Picard.
That's not gonna get me to watch it. But Aubrey Plaza as Julie Powers, Brandon Routh as Todd Ingram. You know, vegan,
Vegan
not
superpowers.
Yeah,
Nice.
vegan. Yeah. Jason Schwartzman as Gideon Graves, Johnny Simmons as Young Neil, Mark Webber as Stephen Stills, Mae Whitman as Roxy, and Ellen Wong as Knives Chow.
When he said the name he couldn't pronounce, I was going to say what? Kieran Culkin?
No, yeah. Trust me. I know Kieran Culkin.
I always
The
get
way that
sad
name
when
is spelled is just so weird.
I always get
Kieran.
sad when no one gets my Arrested Development gags.
What did you say? Something?
You said Mae Whitman. I went, her?
I
Oh,
never
yeah.
really watched Arrested Development, so I don't even know why I wanted more detail.
Fair enough.
Man, I thought that one was good. And I was
She
like,
was so
you guys
fucking funny on
no-sold
that
it.
show.
And future, there are some people that they have not announced yet. That is, will be announced at a later date. Additional voices.
Did you see the music info that came out on it too?
I did not.
So I pulled up an article on The Verge while you were talking about it, and I'm going to screw up the name of the band. I think it's Anamanaguchi, who made the soundtrack for the game, will be creating original songs in the series.
Wait, for the Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game?
Yes, the one that just came out.
Oh my! Oh, they did. Oh, have you played the game?
Not yet.
Oh, that
Anamanaguchi's-
music in it. The music.
I've heard it's great.
Top-notch.
Yeah, I've heard it's
it's
great.
good.
They did the theme song for Nerdist, like the Nerdist podcast. So like they've got like lots of people have heard their music.
I don't know what the Nerdist.
That was Chris
sounds
Hardwick's
like.
show.
Chris Hardwick.
No, I don't know what the theme song sounds like. I can't.
I never got into the Nerdist, so
I have no idea.
I listened to a couple hundred episodes. Yeah, it has a great theme song.
Oh, I believe you.
I think that's where more people have probably heard Anamanaguchi from there than they have the Scott Pilgrim video game.
But yeah, that just starting it up, it was like, ooh, that's nice. Ooh, that is nice. They did a good job. That soundtrack is top notch.
and they have said there's no news on when the series is coming out or anything like that, so it could probably be a bit. But the announcement means excitement and cool. I might have to restart my Netflix when that comes out because I think I'm about to shut down my Netflix for a bit because we haven't been using it.
Well, I mean, the news was all like, okay, they're making a Scott Pilgrim anime, cool, whatever. And then I was like, wait, they're using all the original cast as voice actors? Okay, now you turn to rock to suit my fancy, if you will.
Did you mention that Edgar Wright's coming back as executive producer?
I did not.
Okay, so Edgar Wright's on as executive producer for the film. Brian O'Malley will serve as writer and executive producer alongside Edgar Wright, it says here.
And he's Brian O'Malley. I believe I did see he's also going to be co-showrunner.
Executive producer.
Is that what that means?
No, probably not, but okay. But it makes sense that he
No,
would be-
I really don't know. I wasn't making fun. I really didn't know. I didn't mean to insult
Sometimes
you,
the
man.
lines get blurred as to whether the
Yeah.
showrunner is the executive producer or not.
And it's one of those
Yeah.
things where an EVP can basically be as involved as they want. So an executive producer can be someone that gets money for the show and then never is like on the set, never makes a decision, all the way up to basically being a showrunner.
Or it
An
could
EVP can run anywhere in between those two.
it can also be an actor who's been doing a show for a certain amount of time. They give them the EVP credit, which also gives them different residuals and things like that.
Yep.
Listen. I don't know what kind of key grip the best boy uses on the VP, but here we are.
The one that gets the best traction.
That was a good joke, and I just came up with that. It just flew out
That
the
actually
mouth.
wasn't bad.
It wasn't bad. Yeah, there's a quote here from Edgar Wright saying, over the years, fans had asked if there would be a sequel to the film or some kind of other continuation. I knew a live-action sequel is unlikely, but I would usually defer by suggesting that perhaps an anime adaptation was an interesting way to go. And then lo and behold, one day Netflix got in touch to ask about that exact idea. But even better, our brilliant creator Brian Lee O'Malley had an idea that was way more adventurous than just a straight adaptation of the original books. As per Edgar Wright. I'm intrigued. I enjoyed the movies. I enjoyed the comics. I need to play the video game. I haven't gotten to it.
Just gonna warn you, at least my experience on PlayStation hardware, if you try and play it online with people, it is hit and miss.
Then I'll
you
play.
get a lot of drop games in the middle of a level.
It's okay, Willie. I'm going to play on the superior product, my Nintendo Switch.
Once again, I'm saying I don't know how. It's probably the same thing because they probably use the same shitty
I'm busting
servers.
your chops, man. Consider
I
your
know,
chops
but the
busted.
servers, I'm making fun of. I think it was Ubisoft that put that out. It's their servers.
Was it
They always
limited
have
run games?
shit tier servers. I'm looking at you, Wheel of Fortune servers, Monopoly servers. I'm looking at you, you pieces of shit. They always kick people off where you don't want people to enjoy your game. You just want to be pieces of shit.
No, I guess it's Ubisoft North America. You're right. My bad.
Mhm. Like they don't. If it ain't a big name game, don't look for quality.
Fair. I got to talk about Ubisoft later in the show. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad I brought that up then. But they did do a good choice by hiring that band because that was great. Kim Pine.
She was in the newsroom also, the Aaron Sorkin show on HBO, if I recall correctly.
Never heard of
Allison Pill. It was actually a pretty good show with Jeff Bridges in the lead role.
All right, I have a secret crush on her. I don't know if I made that apparent yet.
There's nothing wrong with that. I was just bringing up something else I remembered her from.
Yeah, that's one I still haven't seen. I've seen that clip from that show 100 times, but I haven't seen the actual show.
And then she was in Star Trek Picard's first 2 seasons before they wrote her out.
Okay.
She became a Borg. So if
She was Borg?
if cybernetics do it
Borg.
for you, that's the place to go.
I mean, they do. Listen, we all live like heathens. Just admit it.
That's fair. That's fair. So I'll take my news story next, and I'm not going to try and go super in depth with it, but we'll go broad strokes. So this week, Nintendo did one of their Nintendo Direct events or whatever. Is about a 12-minute long reveal where they talked about the sequel to Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, that will be dropping on May 12th. This is also the first Nintendo game where they have upped the price. It will drop for $70 new, not for $60. Willie, you seem confounded.
Nintendo, you shouldn't do that. You don't get the right to do that. Your prices of your games never go down for your first party games. What the shit is this? It's not like the Switch is graphically intensive.
You want a kicker?
It can't even hold that much shit.
You want the kicker, Willie? They're not doing it with all their first-party games. Just some are getting that bump. So it's more of, we know a shitload of people are going to buy Zelda. Price bump.
Yeah. But I mean, no offense to Nintendo, because I do enjoy a lot of their games, but you can't. Your system doesn't require the extra price hike because you're not getting more out of it.
Yeah, I will say I don't pre-order games much anymore. This is one I pre-ordered because there was a price mistake on Best Buy's website when I got it, so I got it for $60 still. Go me. And since I know it'll never go on sale, I considered that a sale price.
Fair enough, and it's also like and some of their games they can't even fit on the goddamn cartridge. You have to stream it.
Yeah.
Like Control, it's on the Switch, streaming only. I forget what other games there are. That's the only
Kingdom
one I know
Hearts
of.
does it, and then
Yep.
there's some other stuff too.
It's like, what is the purpose? Why even have a cart then?
Well, it
It's
basically
so
holds your
stupid.
license.
It's so dumb. It's so dumb.
And probably something for launching the cloud player or whatnot. So back to Tears of the Kingdom. We had known for a while there was going to be an amiibo tie-in. We got to see more of it. If you like amiibos, you can get an amiibo that is a Tears of the Kingdom one. I've got mine pre-ordered because I still collect the Zelda amiibos because they all look really cool. And if you are an amiibo collector, they're basically reissuing all of the Legend of Zelda amiibos. I've seen pre-orders going up right and left on it. Willie's on his
Do
way.
they do Link and Zelda? Or do
There
they
are
just do
some
Link?
that do. There are some packs that have Zelda. Like there's the 2-pack from Wind Waker that's Link and Zelda. They put out a Zelda one for the Breath of the Wild amiibos. Then you've got the Link that looks like he's peeing down his leg that Willie's showing off right now. That's
There's
Piss
the-
Link.
Yeah,
See if I get the angle right. If he's just looking behind,
why
like
would
golden
they choose?
stream, baby.
Why would they choose that color? That is the
To match
worst
the
color for
base.
that.
Yeah, match the gold base.
Just make it clear.
I think I have him and Samus, and that was it. I was like, that's enough for me.
So why do I bring that up? Because much like in Breath of the Wild, you can scan Legend of Zelda amiibos and it'll unlock stuff in game or give you cool stuff. Like, for instance, at least in Breath of the Wild, I'm assuming they'll do similar in Tears of the Kingdom. If you took one of the Ocarina of Time links, it gave you Epona, the legendary horse, in Breath of the Wild, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
If you had the Wolf Link one from, oh my god, why am I blanking on the game with Wolf Link all of a sudden? Twilight Princess?
Twilight Princess.
Then you got a Wolf Link companion character that followed you around and would attack enemies. And if you had played it
that
on,
sounds so awesome.
if you'd played it on the Wii, because remember at one point in time they'd bundled Twilight Princess with the Wolf Link amiibo, and you'd leveled up your amiibo and your character, it carried over that same number of
Wii U.
hearts. Excuse me, Wii U. It carried over that same number of hearts into your companion character. So say Wolf Link had 16 hearts in your Twilight Princess game on Wii U, and you
Twilight
had
Princess HD.
excuse me, and you had
Oh, memory too.
and you had
I
synced
never
your
had
amiibo
one.
with the game, then your partner Wolf Link would have 16 hearts. Whereas if you had never done that, he only has 4 hearts, I think it is, in game.
Mm-hmm.
But you can scan any amiibo in Breath of the Wild and either get food or equipment and stuff like that. But the Zelda ones give you more Zelda specific stuff. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm a little curious of something because I don't know if you were going to mention it sooner, but is this game a direct sequel to Breath of the Wild, or is this another one in the overall?
It is a direct
universe?
sequel to Breath of the Wild, is what it appears to be.
Kind of like Link's Awakening is a direct sequel to a Link to the Past.
And Majora's Mask is a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, just curious.
Let's see. They say in here, visually and tonally, it's going to be darker than Breath of the Wild. But the main difference here is we're going to the sky. There's sky fortresses and things like that, and different ways to go to the sky to do things. So a lot more mechanics with the glider.
Oh shit, my sword went up there. I guess I gotta go get my skyward sword.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Shut up, Bachman. Before you say shit, just shut the fuck up. Let's move on.
So Link does get some new abilities in this game. They showcased a lot of them in the gameplay demo. Specific abilities he's going to have will help with both combat and traversal. There's recall, fuse, ultra hand, and ascend. Recall lets you rewind object movement. So in instance, these islands they're hovering over Hyrule will occasionally drop debris down. So what you can do is go stand on that debris that's fallen and then hit rewind basically and make it go back up to the sky so you can get on the floating islands.
What was the Xbox Live Arcade game that did that?
Oh, I know which one you mean. I just can't remember.
Yeah, it has those little weird head things, and you jump on them.
Yeah,
I can't remember. It was like I think you turned out to be the guy who kidnapped the princess, and the game's running backwards because you think you're saving her.
Yep.
Oh my god, what was it called? I know it, but it had a similar mechanic where you rewound time, and yeah.
There's another ability for weapon fusing that allow you to make new weapons out of objects. They showed off heavily in the trailer. Link took a rock and a boulder and made a big ass hammer. But they also showed him combining a long stick with a pitchfork to make a pole arm.
I gotta say this out loud for my buddy Phil. Yeah, you can combine a rock and a stick, put them together, get a rock stick.
Rock stick indeed. The other ability is Ultra Hand. This allows you to basically glue things together, different objects. You can make vehicles and things like that. They showcased Link basically making a boat out of some trees and like fans. So like he put 3 trees together, fused them, then put fans on the back of them, and then was able to...
Trees?
Well, yeah.
Whole trees.
Whole trees that had no branches left on them anymore. So basically...
No. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But basically you're allowed to pluck things out of the earth, or Hyrule in this case, fuse them together to make things. which seemed interesting. There's also an ability called Ascend, which is a tool allowing Link to jump up and move through ceilings. So you can pass
So he
through
turns
ceilings.
into Kitty Pryde.
Similar. And side note, did you see the Kitty Pryde stuff has all been pulled from Marvel Snap temporarily?
No.
You can't matchmake with it. You can't get any of it because there was a critical bug with it, I guess. Just popped up on Twitter as
Seemed
we were
like
doing
such a
stuff.
simple card. Coming back, but it
Kitty
didn't seem like that
Kitty
much.
Pryde's disabled until they get a bug fix out.
Game mechanics, man. Shit happens sometimes.
Fair enough.
So
Didn't
those
seem
are
like
the,
it was shooting over.
those are the new abilities coming to Tears of the Kingdom. Willie will be sad to know that weapon degradation and destruction, like we had in Breath of the Wild, is still there. So
I'm all right with it. Just make it less impactful. Just make it 3 times more durable. That's all I ask. That's it.
a nice quality of life addition that I saw in there when I was watching the gameplay footages. Instead of having to pull the Sheikah slate up all the time to see a map and navigate where you're going, there's a mini map on screen finally, which will make life so much easier. Because you just set the waypoint, look at your mini map when you need it, instead of constantly being like, where the hell am I? Pulling up the Sheikah slate to try and figure stuff out. I got really tired of hearing the Sheikah slate noises as I opened and closed it all the time to see where I was going.
Sure you did.
I did. Traversing the world, Link will journey via paraglider and horseback like in Breath of the Wild. He'll have a few upgraded rides, they say, in Tears of the Kingdom. Third trailer showed him on a land vehicle looking like an open air car or a hovercraft. And then there was also a hot air balloon shown. You can also somehow use your shield as a skateboard at some point in there. There's a lot of stuff I don't know if we'll actually know what all is going to happen until we get a chance to play with it. And much like in Breath of the Wild, people will start fusing and creating their own stuff that was probably never intended, which will do crazy, weird shit.
Yeah, like flying across the whole map.
Exactly. Some of those were really hilarious to see how people pulled those off, too. Let's see. The last thing here, Tears of the Kingdom weighs in at 18.2 gigabytes in size.
I thought you were going to say 18.2 pounds. I was like, what?
No. This is one of the biggest games Nintendo itself has released for the Switch. So I don't know.
Wait, how big?
18.2 gig.
Can they even fit on one of those cards?
That's what I was curious about. The way this article on Polygon is worded, it says, in other words, make sure you grab a micro SD card for more storage if you need one. So my assumption is there will be downloading of assets to be installed on either your SD card or your 32 gigs of internal storage. And again, what a joke it is that the Nintendo Switch has, what, like 32 gigs of storage by default? I think I'm getting that number wrong.
Well, yeah, at that point, if it's that small, why even have internal storage?
Because they were forced to.
Well, it's probably something that has to be ran locally.
I mean,
has to go on there. So they're like, well, they got to give them a little.
Pretty
bit
much
storage.
most of my games work on my SD card that are plugged. That are running off my SD card on my Switch. I have like a 512 gigabyte SD card, so I just toss everything on that.
Yeah, there's no reason you shouldn't be able to just buy a Nintendo Switch with a 2 terabyte hard drive in it at this point.
I don't know about that. That's cost prohibitive.
They're like this big. They're so small.
Yeah, but the cost into manufacturing and making those on top of the cost of the Switch, and
Well,
they
they charge $200 for them, so they
More than
probably
that.
cost about $5 to make.
No.
Okay, here it is. All right, so publishers can select your cartridges. You can select from a size of 1 gigabyte, 2 gigabytes, 4 gigabytes, 8 gigabytes, 16 gigabytes, or 32 gigabytes. And from what I do know, those 32 gigabytes are not cheap to manufacture.
Probably not. So it's a lot cheaper to put part of the game on there and say download the rest.
Yeah, because that's always a smart idea. Nintendo, just use disc. I know it wouldn't work with the Switch and how it works, but just why are you so anti-disc?
We're children of the CD player generation. Remember having to get your portable CD player that had the anti-skip protection on it? That would basically
I had
buffer
fun with it. I kept tapping it till it did start skipping.
Exactly. Or you would just turn it off and see what kind of hit it took to do it. That's why you can't use the CD player on that. But also ongoing with the Tears of the Kingdom stuff, they did announce a new Pro Controller that had Tears of the Kingdom decoration, for lack of a better term, on it. Actually looked pretty cool, but I'm not buying another Pro Controller. A Switch case and a OLED Switch bundle that was coming out that is just a Tears of the Kingdom branded and colored Switch. It doesn't come with the game. for $360. So like $10 more than the regular OLED Switch. You can get the Nintendo Switch one or the Tears of the Kingdom one. And what is really strange is either they're making a bunch of them or the demand is lesser than I expected, because you could still pre-order a Tears of the Kingdom Switch this morning as I record this on the 30th of March.
The bundle doesn't come with the game.
That is correct.
That's not the stupidest thing I ever saw, because I remember seeing like what, $100 or $200 pre-order like special edition of, I forget what even game it was. Probably multiple games too.
Collector's
that
edition.
Didn't even come with the fucking game.
They did it with Mass Effect Andromeda, for instance. You get the collector's edition that came with the remote control car, but it didn't come with the game. I was like, then what the fuck is the point?
Pardon my language. Just sell merchandise separately. Yeah. It's so fucking stupid. I hate people. I hate marketing companies. I'm broken.
That's all it took.
Oh, I should have done this earlier.
Right?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Anytime a special edition of a game doesn't come with the game, it should not be able to be called a special edition. Because, yeah, it's just merchandise in a different fucking box. Like, and I love my Infamous 2, but part of the reason I got that is because it came with Infamous 2. Like, the bag and the comic and the statue are awesome, but it also came with the fucking game. Yeah,
right,
Cole McGrath.
So I need to clarify, because I worded it slightly wrong. It is the Nintendo Switch OLED model, the Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom edition. That's what it's called. It is not the special edition. It's the Tears of the Kingdom edition. Meaning it's modeled after Tears of the Kingdom.
It doesn't matter.
Means you buy it and it'll make you cry because it doesn't come with a fucking game.
Oh, then you just download it. It looks cool, but I'm not buying custom Switches. My Switch works fine. There's literally no reason to upgrade what is an old piece of hardware that should potentially have a new generation version coming at some point in time, maybe? Who knows? Don't get me wrong.
Now,
I wanted it, and I actually really wanted the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet one because I don't have an OLED Switch, and I thought it looked cool, but I don't need it. I just want it. There's a difference.
All the things in this office, I don't know where my Cole McGrath statue is.
Willie stole it. That's yours right there.
I think it's still boxed up in my garage. I think it might be in one of the few boxes I haven't opened yet.
I'm not going to lie. The detail they put in this, even in the arm muscles, I know it's not going to show up on the camera, but they have so much detail and just the muscularness in the arm. Like, it looks so realistic.
Really good statue. It's a really good statue.
Like, I know it's not going to come through this camera. I'm not even going to attempt that shit.
And side note, as we record this, March 30th, it's 3:08 p.m. Eastern. I can go on Best Buy's website right now and pre-order the Tears of the Kingdom Switch. So they must be making a shitload of them.
That's cool, I guess.
Honestly, I was disappointed too when I bought my Ragnarok Edition PS5 and it came with a download code. Yeah. Just put the fucking game on the hard drive.
Yeah. Like, speaking of Legend of Zelda.
I'm fine with a download code.
I say, if it's a version of the game that's supposed to, or version of a special edition that comes with the game, just download it for me. Like,
you remember how much people got mad when stuff got just auto put on their systems? Say, like the U2 album that magically appeared on everyone's iPad?
That nobody asked for. That's different. I specifically bought a God of War Ragnarok Edition PS5. It should have God of War Ragnarok PS5 on it.
You want the real reason why it's not on there?
Did that not come with it?
It does.
No, it came with a code.
It comes with a code.
Okay, well, you're still getting the game as digitally. At least you're still getting the game.
And you know what?
Hold on. I'm saying, why shouldn't it already be there?
You know why it's not pre-installed? Because by the time you buy that, they'll have put 6 different patches out already, so you'll just be downloading the game anyways.
Yep. Remember, games are never finished.
Or
anymore.
say you buy your God of War
artwork. They're simply abandoned.
Say you buy your God of War Ragnarok PlayStation 5 7 months after it came out. There's probably been a dozen different patches and updates, so you might as well just download the game. Realistically, it's more of a licensing concern of how to tie that license to your PlayStation account.
That makes sense. I don't know. Just one of those things. It's like, you guys could have had the first 10 gigabytes on there already. Like, at least get it started.
But it won't matter because when the patches come out.
Oh, yeah. I remember when I first
always
got
download bullshit. But
when I first got my first PS3, and I was back in 2008. I remember the summer of 2008, and the first game I got was Metal Gear Solid 4. And that's when I was introduced to installing the game onto the hard drive, at least part of it. And oh my God, that took hours.
Yep.
But, I mean, Hideo Kojima did a cool thing where it's just solid state there smoking a cigarette. And the smoke effects looked amazing. It was like, I don't mind it so much because it's the first time. If it was like, if this was like 2010 and it was still happening, I'd be like, okay, that's cool, but fuck off. But that was the first time I was like, ooh, on my little tube TV. Ooh, it's not even HD.
Boy, that takes me back. Yeah.
Yeah, I did not play on HD TV with the PS3 for a while, till like 2009.
I just gotta say, I'm glad that I have high-speed internet when it comes to all this stuff anymore, because it's such a pain in the ass. You buy the game. I mean, we've bitched about it before. Buy the game, and then you gotta wait for it to install. This is not me being fanboy, but I think one of the best things that Xbox did was you can pull up on the Xbox app, be like, oh, Marvel's Avengers. I want to play that. I haven't had a chance to buy it yet, and I can just hit the install button on the app, and it will install it. And when you go and launch it on your Xbox, it'll say you don't have the license, so you just buy your copy and it's already installed and ready to go on there. So you could do that with other games. And I think I talked about when I bought some physical games.
Good feature.
I had just pre-installed them before the discs came in so that I wouldn't have to worry about installing. That's cool. I wish other companies would do that. I know that like you can do digital pre-orders where it will pre-install a bunch of stuff so that at 12:01 a.m. you can start playing. But that doesn't help you for if you're going to buy a physical game and want to be able to play it. It's neat.
Yeah,
I like it.
The pre-install stuff is great. I'm trying to remember what the last game was that I had that on where like PlayStation prepped it, and it was like, yeah, that midnight, the night before the game was supposed to launch, like the download started, and so like the day that like the pre-order went live, the game was already basically installed on your hard drive, and you could just turn it on and play it. I think maybe it was Outriders.
Or you just change your time zone to New Zealand and it magically
Outriders.
starts working.
Ugh.
Well,
Why'd
that's
you step in shit and bring it in this house?
Oh, because you deserve it.
Billy,
It's
aren't
not
you
my
used
house,
to
it's
that?
his house.
Aren't you used to this by now?
What, shit smelling from Bachman? Yeah.
I meant just stepping in shit in general, but
Deal with it.
it's what we
Deal
do on
with it.
this show is we step on shit and then make fun of it and go, oh, why'd we
And
do
then
that to
walk
ourselves?
around the room, bitch. Step in shit, walk around the room.
All right. Calm it down there, Rick James, on my couch.
Fuck your couch.
Careful.
I said what I said. I did what I did.
Just make sure you don't put a gif of it out there.
I know what I'm doing.
Don't finish the line is
I
what
know.
I'm saying.
I know
Fuck
what you
your
were saying.
couch. I did finish the line. That's where it ends.
No,
right there.
okay.
Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on. Bachman, what you got for us?
All right. So it's not a huge news story, but it's got a little bit of history on it. So I thought this was kind of cool. Looking at March 26th, so from this weekend, we had John Wick 4 made $73.5 million. Creed 3 made $10.4 million. And it looks like Shazam's sitting at 9.7. So it's sad for Shazam. Like, they're definitely not going to do the numbers they were looking for. Like, that movie's not doing well. John Wick's killing it. It's awesome. If you remember, there was a time where there was a Jeremy Irons villain movie that did not do well. They're few and far between, but there is one that exists. Back in 2000, there was a PG-13 movie called Dungeons and Dragons. It did not do well. It's sitting at a 3.6 out of 10 rating on IMDb. Like, people hated this movie because it looked like they were doing a Dungeons and Dragons movie, but then for some odd reason, we got Marlon Wayans in there as like comedy relief of a character named Snails.
It was 2010. It was a very weird time in movies.
It was 2000.
2000,
23 years
2000.
ago.
That makes even more sense for Marlon Wayans to show up.
Yeah.
Marlon Wayans,
Yeah.
he was not the problem of that movie.
No.
Well, I'm saying it was a weird character that didn't feel like it fit, and then none of the other characters seemed to be in the same movie. It was like you had 8 actors that were all on a different set, making different films, and nobody was cohesive. It was very strange.
D&D adventures have you gone in where you don't have someone who's weird or everyone's weird?
Yeah, but there's a different.
Leroy.
There's a difference between Leroy Jenkins in a fucking group and having fun when you're actually playing D&D versus telling a D&D based story to an audience. So yeah, the original I guess not the original, but the 2000 Dungeons and Dragons movie did not do well. So it was weird to see that this article for the box office preview from Hollywood Reporter, box office preview, new Dungeons and Dragon movie takes on John Wick 4, and it's actually trending to maybe take the top spot from John Wick 4, which is not something I ever would have thought I would see, even 23 years later, that we're going to get a good Dungeons and Dragons movie. So, from Paramount E1, big screen adaptation of Hasbro's seminal role-playing game boasts a star-packed cast that includes Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, I think the name is Regé-Jean Page, and Justice Smith. So the weekend's box office race seems to be Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves taking on John Wick 4, with it, which bound to be an interesting contest. And I also love this part, directed by Jonathan Goldstein and John Francis Daly. Do you guys remember who John Francis Daly is?
I've heard the name.
I've heard the name, but I'm not placing it.
American actor, filmmaker, and musician, best known for playing high school freshman Sam Weir on NBC comedy drama Freaks and Geeks. Then took a respite from Hollywood, didn't do anything for a while, and then spent like 10 years as FBI criminal profiler Dr. Lance Sweets on Bones.
Oh.
So yeah, he was the main star of Freaks and Geeks, and then he was the Dr. Sweets on Bones, and now he's making what looked to be badass great movies. And the best part of it is, this was the kid that he was the DM for it was the Sam Weir character and the two other characters, the guy from I can't think of their names. Fucking Sam Levine and Martin Starr. Yeah, when they played D&D, John Francis Daly as Sam Weir was their DM. He was the dungeon master, so he created the world when they played D&D on the show Freaks and Geeks. He's literally DMing the movie of Dungeons and Dragons. Like, it's so like self-referential, geek intensive, but it's fantastic. It says it looks like it's on track to do a somewhat subdued $30 million domestically, but it looks like it might do better. And it's just, yeah, it's strange to see it. I never thought we'd see a good D&D movie. And yeah, it's another Hasbro owned one. So it's, kind of a board game turn movie, but this doesn't look like it's going to be another Battleship. It actually seems to be doing very well.
Terrible.
Oh, that one was awful. Let's see, what was it? Made its world premiere at South by Southwest in Austin earlier this month. Hopes to win the weekend box office race. That means bumping off John Wick, which debuted at a rousing 73.8 and could earn 30 million or more on sophomore outing. So at its second weekend, D&D is going to come out, and it might actually top John Wick 4, which and apparently has done extremely well, even though I guess John Wick 4 had a really bloated budget for the fourth film. But I guess there's already talk of there being a John Wick 5 now.
And there's a bunch of spin-offs, too, that are coming.
Yeah.
I haven't
seen getting spin-off movies, TV shows, and a sequel. Like, the John Wickiverse is just growing.
I haven't seen it yet, but I've heard that there's like the movie is like 4 or 5 major fights, and like the last hour of the movie is basically one extended fight scene. Yeah. I'm like, I want to see this.
So it's like the Incredible Hulk.
And it ties into...
Yeah, a little bit.
Or rather, it does a riff on Hotline Miami with how they do one of their fight scenes, which does... The camera literally pans up and does like a top-down view of things as they do stuff, which could be cool.
Nice.
I haven't seen it yet. I just want to.
I'm probably going to be the dour one on this because in
You're
my
a Debbie
opinion...
Downer.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not putting the John Wick movies down. It's just first movie, great. And then it kind of goes a little bit down as you go with the second and third one. Like I thought the second one was lesser than the first movie. The third one was lesser than the second movie. Just a little bit.
Funny you mentioned that. The John Wick movies, if you look at Rotten Tomatoes and some other review sites, are the only ones where each movie gets better reviews.
Well, that's just my own opinion, of course.
But it was also brought up on Slash Film. It's the only franchise where each sequel has made more money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'll give it.
Where routinely, you get an original film that's, a blockbuster, and then the sequels progressively make less money until they cancel the sequels. John Wick's one of the only franchises that exists where Part 2 made more money, Part 3 made more money. 4 might make more money, but it's got a long road to go because its budget was so large. I guess, the first John Wick movie made like it cost like $10 million. Like it was super cheap by comparison.
I guess why I have that opinion is because the first movie, that motivation, the story was I was all with it. I was 100% with it. Fuck Theon Greyjoy. Fuck that little shithead. Let's kill him. And
That
then,
actor plays a
and then I
great
just
shithead.
didn't have the same that same attachment to the second or third one. I mean, they were still good. I liked them, but they just weren't. They weren't on that pedestal of the first one. I'm not saying anything bad about them. They're just like I hold the first one up on a pedestal because it was a better movie to me. That's all. And so, I mean, fourth one. I mean, I'm interested, but not like out of my way right now. Interested. How's that?
That's fair.
As it, yeah, just the end of the article, it says, Goldstein and Daly directed Dungeons & Dragons from a script they wrote with Michael Gilio, so they worked on the script as well. As says, the duo behind Game Night, which was an awesome fucking movie, have created an adaptation that will appeal to the nostalgic side of existing fans and entertain those whose eyes glaze over at the mentions of Dungeons & Dragons, bards, or druids, writes Hollywood Reporter's Lovia Gyarki in her review. This version of Dungeons & Dragons not only checks the boxes of a satisfying studio blockbuster, it arrives at a cultural moment that embraces even fiends for the epic fantasy adventure. A lot of people wanted that Lord of the Rings show to be good. It wasn't. And apparently not enough people are sad about Willow being canceled, but that Willow TV show was great. So,
Willow
really,
wasn't
it
canceled.
thought they canceled season 2.
They came out later and said that's not accurate.
Ah, okay. Well, good, 'cause, yeah, Willow was great. That was
Was
an
it
awesome
great?
season. Yeah.
Okay, I've
Have
heard
you-
the opposite, but it was only from one source, and I haven't watched it myself. So
No, I
Okay.
tweeted about this.
That's
Honestly, Willow is everything I think fans wanted the Lord of the Rings show to be, that it wasn't. Lord of the Rings show felt like a bunch of money and characters you didn't care about and a story you didn't care about. I was 4 hours into that show and I'm like, I'm just bored. Like, I don't care what's happening to anybody. From the start of the first episode of Willow all the way to the end, it was like, it brought you into the characters. It had great world building. The special effects were fucking fantastic. The monsters in Willow look so much better than the Amazon show that had like 10 times the budget. Like, it's insane how good Willow was, what I don't think people were expecting it to be. And everybody had hopes that the Ring of Power show was going to be great, and it was just boring and lackluster. It was basically a bunch of shiny stuff and money, and yeah, like there was only one character I even liked. Like, I don't know, there was something. It was like that show just had no heart. And when you got Warwick running around the set of Willow, like making fun of the kids and doing all these weird shit that they did in like the making of, and like the documentary making of it, they have it to where like he's insisting everybody like treat him like the world's greatest movie star. Like, it's so funny. They did basically a mockumentary about the show while they were making the show. And Warwick Davis is great. Like, the dude's awesome. And he basically sat down with all these kid actors and said, hey, I've been through this. I was on, a Star Wars set when I was like 12 years old. He's all, he basically sat down with each of these kid actors and told them to like enjoy what you're doing right now. Be in the moment. Don't worry about things. Don't stress out. Like, we're making a fun show. Enjoy what you're doing, because you'll think back on this shit 10 years from now and be mad if you didn't enjoy it in the moment.
I hope he didn't say shit to the little kids like that.
Who knows? But, like, everything I've seen about it is just so fantastic, because you have the main returning actor, and he's like basically surrounded by this fantastic cast of young, talented actors. And from what you can see that translate to the film, he got them to be like in the moment and having fun and enjoying it. So, I mean, there's a market out there for really well-told fantasy stories when they're done right. Amazon just wasted a whole lot of money to do it wrong, but, Disney Plus spent some, I'm assuming, some serious cash as well. But Willow was awesome. It was such a good show. Dungeons & Dragons, if they end up going the right route, and from the previews, it looks good, and everything I'm hearing out of South by, like, people are loving it. So this could literally be a D&D movie that knocks John Wick out of the top spot in the theater. That's not something I ever thought. That's not a sentence I would have thought I would have said.
I mean, I think I can pinpoint what the problem with the Lord of the Rings show was. It was the marketing. The marketing for it was, it was just bad. Mostly because to me it felt like when they got people in like talking about it, the people they had were like, it felt like they just had diversity because they don't look as they're trying to be diverse. It looks like they're trying to tap into a market just to get your money. That's what it looked like to me. It's not like they didn't care. It was like, a heartless thing that just said, this will get their money if we do this. That's what it seemed like. I never
Yeah.
saw the show, what it was, but it's just that marketing. And in doing so, you're automatically going to get those, and I'm not trying to defend those people at all, because fuck them, the anti-woke people. They're automatically going to say, oh, look at this woke bullshit, blah, blah, blah. But I mean, to deny that those people exist is kind of ignorant of itself, you know?
Yeah, and sadly, one of the only good character on that show was the like soldier elf that was played by a black actor. Like, he's fantastic. He's the only character on the show I give a shit about. I did not care for any other character in that entire series. I watched both of them, and I think what it comes down to is that number one on the call sheet for Willow was Warwick Davis, an actor who was happy to come back to a character he had played before, seemed to be having a fantastic time doing it, and like enjoyed working with all these young actors. Number one on the call sheet for Rings of Power was apparently the bean counters. It was like a big dollar sign was number one on the call sheet. That was who the star of that show was the money they spent. There's no heart involved there. That show felt soulless. Where Willow, from the moment it starts, you're like, oh, this is people like having fun and telling a cool story, and let's go along for an adventure.
I'm glad to hear that, because I heard that it wasn't that good. And I really want to see it now.
I love
again.
When I'd heard that they were canceled, I was super sad that they weren't doing a second season because it was so good. Like, yeah, that show's all heart, and it doesn't go exactly the way you expect it to go, but it's really, really good storytelling. From the ground up, all the characters are great, the acting's great, and it's a fantasy romp. It's basically like that movie is basically like the Goonies running through a fantasy world. Like, that's kind of what they did with the Willow series, and it's really fun to watch. I had no enjoyment at all of the Lord of the Rings show, and I wanted to enjoy it. I looked at that, I was like, oh, this might be a version of the like the storytelling that I'll like better than the movies, just because I thought the movies were okay, but they're just not my favorites. No big deal. I still give the show a chance, and I don't know, that whole show was just a letdown. And so yeah, I've been trying to just talk up Willow, because it's better to spend time and energy talking about the stuff you like than stuff you don't like. But yeah, Willow is a great show. I hope we get more of it, because it was really good.
I haven't seen it yet.
Add it to the list.
I've seen the movie
List of
many
shitty-
years
Don't
ago.
say that. You know what that's gonna do. He's a piece of shit that won't listen to you.
I'm watching other stuff right now. Don't worry, I'll get to it as we wrap things up.
He's got
not
nine
gonna-
more.
no,
He's got
we all
9
know
more
he's never gonna
seasons
see
of
the
Picard
film.
to
He's a
watch
piece of
before he
shit,
watches
artist,
any other
son of a
movies.
Bitch, and you know
The
it.
card ends with season 3. It's the final season.
Fuck Picard.
Wow, that's not cool.
Not the actor, of course.
I was like, what do you got against elderly people?
Yeah, what'd Sir Patrick do to you?
I mean, okay,
Leave
I was
Propex
going to say
alone,
I have
man.
nothing against Sir Patrick, but I mean, old people. I mean, I got a long list if you want me to start listing them out.
No, this is going to turn
let's-
into your argument
let's
for why
not.
half the world needs to die, isn't it?
I mean, I wasn't going to
He's-
take it there, but
he's
since you
right
brought it
there.
up,
Yeah.
Willie Thanos Nelson here.
to quote like some scientist somewhere I saw, I don't know how many years ago, that I don't remember their name. The first person to live to be 150 has probably already been born. Like, not, like they will,
Yeah.
like someone who's born like by now will live to be 150. Like our medical technology is zooming. And what's that going to do to the world's population?
But Willie, Albus Dumbledore died in 1997.
And it was me who killed him.
Nah.
Willie
You're
killed
welcome.
Dumbledore.
You're fucking welcome.
Not cool, man. Not
Not
cool.
cool. Not cool.
Why?
Because I
Because
said
it's
so.
not cool. Why you gotta be? Why you gotta be taking out elderly
a
wizards?
wizard can't do shit about a bullet to the head. I don't know where I was going with that. I don't know.
I mean, he could probably transfigure it into water or something as it was coming towards him.
yeah,
Accio
I know.
handgun.
I don't know where I was going with that joke. It just led to a dead end where I was like, "This is dumb."
Huh. Well,
Sometimes it happens.
well-
Listen,
There you go.
you can't. Not every joke can be a home run, all
Well-
right? But you still got to
That's
take the
true.
swing.
we'll let you off the hook by transitioning into the final bit of things. A little segment called What I'm Into. It's when we share with you guys who are watching live or listening later the geeky and nerdy things we've been getting into, because you may want to go check them out yourselves. I'll start first because the list is relatively short. I've been continuing to play some Tales of Symphonia on my Switch. I didn't have a ton of time to play games this week, so I only got a few hours in, and it was mostly consisting of me grinding to level up so I could go get the devil arms. The more kills I get, the more powerful they are. So if I kill a bunch of stuff now, my devil arms are even more powerful. It'll be great. But, sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say double arms, so you masturbate with both of them. Then
I don't understand the reference.
Hands are the devil's play toy, Chris.
So I'm gonna continue to power through. Typical things I've been watching: AEW Dynamite, Star Trek Picard on Paramount Plus. There's other stuff I'm forgetting all of a sudden, but I did turn on 2 weeks ago Apple TV Plus again because Ted Lasso is on right now. So my wife and I have been watching Ted Lasso, and while we have Apple TV Plus, I've been checking out a couple other shows on there because I have a backlog of things I was interested in, hadn't gotten to. Here's your Ubisoft tie-in, Willie. I'm in season 2 of season 3 of Mythic Quest.
Oh, never mind.
Which is a show that was done by Megan Gans, who's one of the writers on Community back in the day. Rob McElhenney from Always Sunny in Philadelphia writes and stars, and Charlie Day from Always Sunny in Philadelphia writes a bunch of the episodes. And it's brilliant. I think it's hilarious. And the whole concept, for those who aren't aware, is it's about Mythic Quest, the MMO. And this is a workplace comedy about the people that develop and run the Mythic Quest MMO and how they interact with fans at different points of it, how they develop new DLC and stuff like that. So there's a lot of good, nerdy, funny humor. Danny Pudi is in it, who you might know as Abed from Community, playing not at all an Abed character, and it's delightful.
I have a question.
Yes.
Is Mythic Quest an actual game?
I don't believe so.
Okay, because the way you were saying that, I don't
But
think I've heard
Ubisoft,
of a game called Mythic Quest, but I could be wrong.
Ubisoft is one of the producers and helps pay to make this show. So, like, when the credits run, you see credits to Ubisoft, and the implication is that the Mythic Quest game that they're building in this TV show, they're always getting calls from Montreal, from the studio. So it is implied that they're an Ubisoft game. It's fun. I enjoy it a lot. There's 3 seasons of it on Apple TV Plus. So I think it's 10 episodes a season. So we're like 30 episodes in. I'm like 3 episodes into season 2. And I've been laughing my ass off. It's great. It's funny. I will have to keep it on my radar of things to watch once Ted Lasso is over, whenever their new season starts. Also on Apple TV Plus, I started watching a show called Monster Factory. This is a documentary about a professional wrestling training facility where a dude is training indie wrestlers to hopefully go pro. And it's fun. I've just been enjoying.
This kind of sounds like Glow a bit.
Yes, but this is real, mind you. It's a documentary, not television series, and you can go and look up some of their wrestlers that are on the show, and you can see where one got signed to WWE and others done a bunch of indie dates with Ring of Honor and AEW and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool to see.
Where do they, like, what indie? Like, where? Like, you know what city or something?
Let me go pull up the location.
East Coast, West Coast?
Monster Factory, because I don't remember all of a sudden. New Jersey.
Do we know who runs the school? Is it an ex-wrestler?
Larry Sharp opened it. It is, yes, Danny Cage. That's the guy that runs it right now.
Like, I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but a buddy of mine's brother works in, like, the Indies. I think somewhere near Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. I can't remember exactly where. It was a long time ago he mentioned it, and I don't remember any of the details.
But, for instance, some of the alumni, some of the names you might know that have come through the Monster Factory and graduated and gotten signed to things. Bam Bam Bigelow was the first big name to come from the Monster Factory and get a big gig. Paul White, The Big Show.
Oh, bigger.
D'Lo Brown.
D'Lo Brown?
The Godfather.
D'Lo Brown.
Oh. WWE, get the F out. And at one point, they had a character that had a hoe train.
Yep. Here, you want to feel old right now? They've been WWE longer than they were WWF now.
Fuck.
What was the quote?
Okay,
What?
that does make me feel old. Holy. He said they've been WWE now longer than they were WWF.
Oh.
That's...
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that does make me feel old.
Yeah.
Because, they were WWF as soon as he took over from his dad.
Yeah.
I mean, as
Holy
much as I
moly.
hate Vince McMahon, they shouldn't have the change from WWF. Go fuck yourself in that fucking
They
pan. Get the
lost.
fuck out of here. I know.
Well, they didn't lose. Vince made the smart decision. You can't win a court battle against a charity.
Well, they were losing. Let's put it that way.
Well, but he was smart to realize if you go to court against a charity, you lose. Because no matter what your stance is, you still look like you're in the wrong.
Yeah. So this
World
is
Wildlife Fund is WWF. WWE is Wrestling Entertainment.
some other notable alumni. If you want some more recent folks, Matt Riddle graduated from there when he became a pro wrestler at WWE. Damian Priest, who's recent. QT Marshall, who you might know from
QT
AEW,
Marshall.
who's a
All
VP and now has his own wrestling school, graduated from there.
So yeah, he has the Nightmare Factory.
He has the Nightmare Factory now. And they actually interview him throughout the documentary as an AEW VP, asking what are the kind of things you're looking for in people you're signing and stuff like that. It's only a 6-episode documentary. I think I'm on episode 4 right now, and it's all building towards them doing like this giant show in Philly, so he can try and get a bunch of his folks signed. Where he's got scouts coming from AEW, WWE, and New Japan Pro Wrestling. So we'll see who all gets signed out of it. I kind of looked ahead. The one girl that already got signed to WWE for a deal at the Performance Center has already been fired by or let go by WWE, so she's on the indies. But some of the other folks that are in there, like, I recognized their name, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I saw them on episodes of AEW Dark or Dark Elevation and stuff like that. Some of the folks that have been on, that are in this Monster Factory show, and it's kind of just recounting how they're trained, those people's stories, and how they're trying to get signed to work in the larger brands. It's neat. I enjoyed it a lot, and I need to watch stuff on Apple TV Plus while I have it for the next 6 weeks.
I have a
now?
recommendation because I want to hear if it's any good.
What's that?
It's called Severance.
Yes, my wife wants to watch it. I have it in.
Yeah,
I have
was
it to watch
really
in my
curious.
queue.
It looked interesting, and I want to see it, but I'm not going to get Apple TV. You can fuck right off of that shit.
That's
I'll
fair.
wait for it to come somewhere else.
Yeah, I wanted to watch Severance.
Well,
I was the only one
It's an
I was
Apple
going to
TV
recommend.
original, so it's probably not coming anywhere else.
Yeah, on Apple TV. Have you watched any of C,
No, my dad watched it. He really liked it.
the blind combat one?
Yeah.
It is a really, really
The
well-built world.
the Stargate
Like,
Atlantis
SE.
reunion, because Momoa is the lead in it, and he also brings back Joe Flanagan and the guy that played Rodney McKay, whose name I'm forgetting all of a
Oh
sudden.
yeah, I always forget Momoa was on there.
Yeah. They bring back a bunch of folks from Stargate Atlantis.
Oh no, it's
And
more
different
about
roles in
seeing
there.
Aquaman fight Drax the Destroyer. I mean, that's what it's about. Because Dave Bautista shows up in the second or third season.
Yeah,
And
my
it's
dad
a
watched
world-
it in like
a
2
world where
days.
Everybody's
all of
blind.
it.
Yeah, it's a really cool concept.
But that's what I've been getting into. Bachman, what you been getting into?
I have been, watching some shows. Still got caught up again yesterday on The Mandalorian. Spoilers now because it's been an extra week, so everybody would have heard about it. The Jedi that saved Grogu was Ahmed Best, who is best known to most people as Jar Jar Binks, and who, as an actor who created the first, helped create the first fully CGI character in a movie, just caught a lot of shit from supposed fans of Star Wars, and like Jake Lloyd, left Star Wars with a real bitter taste in his mouth. I guess at one point contemplated suicide. Like, this is a kid who took so much shit online that he thought about killing himself, and then kind of jumped back into it. Created a Star Wars character named Caloran Beck for a Star Wars show called the Jedi Temple Challenge, which was like the Nickelodeon Temple Challenge game. So it was kind of a mix of physical activities and quizzes and a challenge that these kids would do. And if you won the show, the teams of kids became Jedi. And it was literally a show that he did 10 episodes of, and he created a Jedi character for it. And the Jedi character's only goal in life was to teach Padawans. And so having Ahmed Best bring that character back into the main Star Wars universe and be the character that saved Grogu is really awesome. Just because, this guy made, 3 huge blockbuster movies, with, awesome actors and what is probably a lot of people in the industry's idol, George Lucas. He got to work with George Lucas creating a new technology and then just caught shit for years. I'm personally not a fan of Jar Jar. I don't like the character, but I never hated the kid that made him. It's just shitty how sometimes
That's because you're a rational human being.
Exactly. But I mean, it's shitty how that how that stuff happens to actors. The actress that was Rose in the one of the new Star Wars sequels, where like she left social media because of the way people treated her. Like,
I don't even get that hate. What did she get hate for?
Being a woman
people didn't
in
like
Star
the
Wars.
character. Yeah, being a woman of color, a minority in Star Wars, and having a role. Yeah,
Hey, remember when I said half the planet? Incels are part of that.
There you go.
Right.
But yeah, it's Ahmed Best is just one of those actors. He caught a lot of shit, and then I don't know. They talk about redemption and stuff. It's like, oh, he didn't need redemption. He needed to be able to be a Star Wars character that people won't talk shit about, and he like deserves that. Like, this kid is awesome. He created an awesome character whose only goal is to teach Padawans, and for that character to be the one that saved this little tiny puppet that everybody fucking loves so much is just so cool, because you have so many characters in lots of storytelling that don't want to be teachers. They're forced into a mentor role. And so it's awesome that Ahmed Best talked about the character that he made, Kelleran Beck. His goal as a Jedi was to teach Padawans.
I have a question here because
Yeah.
I have no idea. I haven't watched the third season yet.
Yeah.
Are you saying he is Jar Jar, or are you saying he's playing another character?
No, he's playing
because I'm
another...
completely confused and
Yeah.
lost.
So the actor Ahmed Best, who was Jar Jar in the prequels,
Yes.
after the prequels, he did a show called Star Wars Jedi Temple Challenge, where he created a Jedi character named Kelleran Beck.
Which was only on YouTube. It's on the Star Wars
only
Kids
on
YouTube channel.
Only 10 episodes, but it was him like bringing kids through a Nickelodeon Temple Challenge. They did a Jedi version of that. And he was the Jedi that brought kids in and like talked them through the show. And then basically if they won the show at the end of the episode, he presented them with the lightsabers and the robes, and they were now Jedi. It was a really awesome show. Great kid show. That character he helped create for that show is the character that shows up in Mandalorian 3. We finally see a flashback from Grogu's point of view, and we see who saves Grogu from the temple. Grogu is at the temple when Order 66 goes down. So we see finally a laid out flashback where more of it is shown of the 4 Jedi in front of him dying as the clone troopers are coming in and just laying waste to people. And then they get him in an elevator, get him up to the top of the building, and Kelleran Beck is there to save him and gets him to a ship and gets him off the planet. And so Ahmed Best plays a Jedi who is the Jedi who saved Grogu from Order 66. So that's the new role he's got to bring into the main Star Wars universe that was just a character on a Star Wars YouTube channel for kids. But yeah, it's awesome. It was so well done. And I'm fucking happy for him. Like, they did a big article about it on the homepage of StarWars.com. And it's one of those things where I want to see actors like that get credit for great work that they did and not catch shit for stupid stuff where if people don't like a character, they talk shit about the actor. And that's a ridiculous thing, because most of the time, if there's something wrong, it hardly ever has anything to do with choices the actor made anyways. There's scripts, there's directors, there's stories, there's all sorts of shit. It's one of those things like, Tom Felton is Draco. People don't like that actor, like the kid that was in Game of Thrones. That was
Gleason, something Gleason.
Yeah.
I can't remember fully, but
he
something
left
Gleason.
Acting because people hate him because he was so good at playing an asshole character. Like, it's this weird thing where people can't, find that separation line between the actor playing a character and the actual character.
Well, I was going to do a joke before you mentioned the suicide thing about Jake Lloyd. Oh,
yeah, but for so many years, I hated Chris Jericho because he was a really good wrestler, and I was supposed to hate him. Like, that was his job. He was doing it really well. I disliked him. That's like, that when someone's playing a character you don't like them, that's not the actor. That's just them playing the character well. But yeah, it was really cool to see. I'm loving the new Mandalorian show. We got caught up on the new episode, and yeah, the show's kicking ass. They're doing good stuff with it. All the Mandalorians, like, they've been just adding to the mythos, which it's something where it hasn't been like as dove into as much as like the Sith and the Jedi stuff, and so now we're getting more and more of it. I love it. The things they've done with the characters, the other characters that have been introduced, like they're doing great stuff on that show. I'm excited to see more of it.
And Rebels fans were eating good this week.
Yes.
Without getting into spoilers.
Yeah, that one I was surprised with. I thought it was just that species. I did not realize it was that character.
As soon as I heard the voice, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, it was awesome. But yeah, doing that, I finished my fifth Warhammer mini. So I did it by second Stormcast Eternal, which my camera will never focus on them. But yeah, little gold dudes covered in badass armor, got their little lances, their cool shields. So yeah, I did my second one of those, which means I've now technically finished my first box set because my Stormcast Vindicator starter set only came with 2 figures. So I have finished a box set of characters for Warhammer. The next box is a little bigger because my Space Marines one has 19 miniatures in it. So it's a hell of a jump from 2 up to 19. But I've also got a set of 5, I can't remember what they're called, Vindicators maybe? But they're Stormcast guys with the big hammers instead of the spears and the shields. So I might tackle that group of 5 first before I dive headfirst into the giant box of Chaos Space Marines. Also, I know now they've announced, as we talked about last week, new 40K is coming. So they're doing new rules, which will all be free to download. So 10th edition Warhammer 40K is going to be all free downloadable stuff to where you don't have to buy cards or rule books or what they call a codex, what in Age of Sigmar is called a battle tome. But that's for 10th edition for Warhammer 40K. The other world, like the ones that the Stormcast Eternals are in, is called the Age of Sigmar, which is their like D&D version of Warhammer. They're not changing those rules anytime soon because 3rd edition just came out. So I actually did go drop a couple of dollars. And for the first time in a long time, I got me a nice hardcover book full of rules for a fantasy game. And man, do I got some shit to learn. Because like this thing is not thin, but this has every Stormcast Eternal character in it. It has painting guides, it has lore, it has short stories, it has battles, and it's got, the stats for every single miniature in the Stormcast Eternal. So I got a lot of shit to read to figure out how I'm going to build this army past the 2 guys I have right now, because at some point I want to have a 2,000 point Stormcast Eternal army, because it's just a cool ass concept that every hero in this army, like to join this army, the first prerequisite is you have to die as a hero and be recast in the Soul Forge and brought back in the gold armor. So like they've all died at least once in battle, like Vikings going to Valhalla. So it's kind of cool that like everybody in this army, like step 1 is death, and then you get better from there.
Did you say at least once?
Yeah, at least once. Because also when you die, once you're a Stormcast, so once you're put through the Soul Forge and put in the gold armor, if you die again, your soul goes back to the Soul Forge. You get recast in the armor again. Each time that happens, you lose a little bit of your soul. And so eventually these badass veteran warriors become almost like golden army automatons that no longer remember their name or who they were or the battles they fought. They're just a gold warrior in a suit. So yeah, it's this weird like recycling army.
You just need a buddy cop to say, hey, your name is Murphy.
There you go. Exactly. It's the whole RoboCop art. But yeah, they keep getting recast in the Soul Forge. It's a really cool concept. I'm digging the lore on them. And yeah, of the 2 different types of Warhammer, 40K, I'm doing Space Marines. In the Age of Sigmar, I decided to do the Stormcast Eternals. So yeah, I picked up the book for that, which luckily for me, my local Games Workshop authorized store takes everything a couple bucks off of the main price. So I didn't pay, I think it was supposed to be, this book is $55 hardcover, and I think I got it for $45. So a few bucks off of the cover price, because yeah, there's some expensive ass shit. Warhammer is not cheap. That is a theme that will be running with me probably for a few years now. But yeah, so I finished my 5th miniature figure from Warhammer, my first box set, and yeah, I've got 2 more sets to jump into. Once I finish, I'm working on a Cultist Firebrand, which looks kind of like a Mad Max character, as a dude with a big old flamethrower. And so it's awesome. I'm painting fire for the first time on a miniature. And so actually painting a transition of white to yellow to orange to red on a piece of plastic and trying to make it look like it's on fire was kind of fun and like 2 nights worth of work. And I really enjoyed it. It's a blast. And yeah, now we're back to, trying not to freak out and get stressed out every day, because we're looking at about a month till the wedding. And so, yeah, like invitations have been sent out. I went out yesterday and bought slacks and a new dress shirt. So they will be, completely fresh and brand new clothes. I just got to make sure I got a belt and shoes good to go, and got a haircut, which I'll touch up again in a month. But yeah, gotta get ready for the big day, y'all. So much to do.
It never ends.
Well, I mean, it will end. It will end on 4th of May when we get married.
Now then you'll just have to prep for the next thing.
Well, the next thing will be leaving for the honeymoon the next morning at 6 a.m. So all the prep work actually has to be done before that because there ain't going to be time to do it that day.
Yeah,
And
that was how it was for
crazily,
us too when we left for our honeymoon.
Crazily, my sister has said she is flying up from Colorado. So I'm going to get to see my little sister for the first time in like 20 years.
Oh, wow.
Like, yeah, I haven't seen her since I was at her wedding because she lives in Colorado. So it's been a while. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So yeah, it's gonna be a hell of a month. Yeah, we got a rental car, we got a hotel, we got flights. So the majority of shit for the honeymoon is covered. But we got to figure out what we're doing on each day. And yeah, to keep the streak alive, weirdly, we're flying to Honolulu on May 5th. The Revenge of the 5th, which is also the day that Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 hits theaters. So the start of my honeymoon is we're going to fly to Honolulu, get a car, check into the hotel room, and then go to the Edwards Theater in Hawaii and go see the Guardians movie, which works out pretty well also because the Guardians are Jana's very favorite Marvel characters. I forced her to sit down and watch the entire Marvel universe in chronological order with me, so she has seen all of them. She still loves the Guardians. She thinks the rest of the movies are okay, but she just loves Groot.
So you start with Captain America.
Yeah, chronologically.
Oh my God, I was just making a joke. I didn't think you actually did that. God damn it.
It's Captain America, then Captain Marvel, then Iron Man. Yeah. If I think about it, I can tell you chronologically the entire 23-movie MCU leading up to Endgame.
Well, I mean, do you go with Captain America, the first Avenger, and then do you start Guardians of the Galaxy, that first little bit that's in the 80s? Or how deep does this go?
Trying to think, when does Guardians show up? No, because you don't count. You count the majority of the story, not like starting or flashback sequences.
Yeah.
Well, because the end of Captain America is he wakes up right before basically the Avengers movie.
Yeah, so do you stop it before the Avengers?
No, the majority of that story takes place in the 40s. So yeah, it's Captain America, then Captain Marvel, then Iron Man.
I'm sure someone has put it all in chronological order up to a point. Maybe not concurrently to today's all movies. Maybe someone has. I don't know.
There's probably someone out there that has a 23-movie cut where you can literally watch every scene in chronological order. That would be insane,
a life.
But it
That's
exists.
not that, please.
Willie, why don't you finish things up for us? What have you been getting into?
I've been having a life, not doing that.
Telling people to get a life.
So last week I took a long break from playing Yakuza 3 mostly because the gameplay is kind of a dip from the other games I played, because technically the third game is the earliest game I'm playing, because the remakes of 1 and 2 were made much after that. So it's like the earliest, I guess, clunky gameplay of 3. And also, I think they've mentioned in the past, like, the enemies block way too much. Like, they're just holding block and like, what? This is not fun. I can't do anything. Any of these cool moves you give me access to, can't do them because they just block everything. But last week I did start playing it again, and in 2 days I beat it. I was that close to it. Many of the problems I hear from Yakuza 3 from fans are saying, yeah, all these orphan kids, like, their storylines, it just gets in the way. I'm like, that storyline's the best part of the game. All the actual Yakuza part of the storyline is convoluted and doesn't make sense. That's the dumb part of the storyline. Everything with those orphan kids, fucking awesome. I love those. Like, it was always heartfelt and warming. It was great. So those fans are weird in how they perceive it. Lots of good moments in Yakuza 3. Definitely don't skip it. But you don't have to, like, try hard in it and play it on hard or anything. If you just want to enjoy the story, play it on easy. I'm not going to judge you. I don't care. But started Yakuza 4, and that apparently came out a year later after Yakuza 3, back on the PS3, and it is a night and day difference. Like Yakuza 3, like, the way, I guess the age of it, kind of, you feel it, because they kind of, when they're moving like clunky and robotic. You feel it as you move. It's not like a downfall to it, but you do feel it. But 4, it feels so much more smoother, just moving your character around. They did such a much better job. And the storyline of these Yakuza games, I cannot stress enough how good they are. I hate myself for not knowing about these games till 2-3 years ago. I am just like, why did I never look at these? Like, it is so amazing. But now I get to, I guess I get to enjoy them a bunch more now because I'm up to Yakuza 4. I played through 1, then I went back to 0, the prequel, then 2, then after 2, that I jumped to the newest one, Like a Dragon, because it was like, all new characters and stuff. So I didn't really see a problem with it. And there's some things I miss in the storyline that I guess are callbacks, but not too much of it. And then I jumped back to 3. Now I'm into 4, and then it'll be 5, then 6, and then I got the whole Judgment games to play through because those are spin-offs that take place in the same made-up locations in Tokyo as the Yakuza games, and they're kind of mingled in there. And then I have Like a Dragon Ishin to play, which is a historical story of I forget what the era is called in Japan, but that looks like a cool game too, and that just came out in February, so I got a ways to get to that point, and I gotta look forward to Like a Dragon, or I think going forward they're just gonna call it Like a Dragon, and they're just gonna be Like a Dragon Gaiden, the man who sold his name, or something like that. I can't remember the title off the top of my head. That hasn't come out yet. And then Like a Dragon 8's coming out. I'm looking forward to that. So, Yakuza, if you haven't played it, oh my God, the story's so good in all of them so far. I instantly loved so many characters. Other than that, the other night a buddy of mine came over. We started watching RRR, the Bollywood movie. And I'm happy he was watching with me because we were both sitting there like, so is that what's going on? Because we were both lost in the story. I'm not going to lie.
I've been there before.
And we got up to halfway before he had to go because I didn't realize it was a 3-hour movie. And because I didn't even see the timer when we started or when we paused there. I never even looked at the time. I was like, yeah, well, it's like,
it's
2 hours?
I've heard it's awesome.
Yeah, the action in it's good. The Bollywoodness in it is also awesome. But yeah, it's kind of hard to follow because I'm like, I guess because I'm not used to the names, so it's not. So I guess that's part of it that's throwing me off. And like a character just has like a mustache, and then in the next scene, I thought it was a whole new character because he has a beard, and it threw me off. But I was like, oh, it's that guy. Okay, I'm in it. I know what's going on. I think we know what's going on, but there's still some stuff that's a little lost. Like I don't know the backstory. Like are these two guys supposed to know each other? I still don't know that. Like when they meet up, like one of them does like an X-Force type thing, and the other guy just instantly understands what it means. And I'm like, so these guys know each other, right? And they don't really explain it, so I'm a little lost in it, a little bit, because I don't feel like they've explained like these guys know each other. They don't, but we're halfway through it, and I can't wait to play through more of it, or not play through it, watch more through it. Been playing Yakuza. I feel like there was something. Been playing a bit more Deceive Inc. Did I mention that last week?
Yes, that was what you reviewed last week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I did that. My memory is terribleness.
I'm just shocked you remember our names.
Yeah, I know, Billy. But going through.
Thanks, Bobby.
Fair enough.
Damn it, boy.
Thanks, Dad. But I sent you guys before the podcast this little 5-minute clip of this scene from Yakuza 4, and whoever directed that scene, I hope it won an award because that thing is so cinematically done. It is so good. Highly recommend all these games. I know I'm just going on and on like a record with that, but I can't say it enough. These game storylines are top tier. This is my single most favorite game series, and I haven't even played through all of them yet. And that's where I'm going to end it on.
And speaking of which, yeah, I had forgot. I did like the first 2 hours of The Last of Us, and the gameplay is so clunky, even on the remastered first one, that like, not really enjoying it. And since I know
you play the
story,
remastered, not the remake. Got it. Okay,
yeah. And so because I now know the story, it's like I'd kind of rather just go rewatch the HBO show than finish playing through the game. And so I fired up Miles Morales and cranked up all of the performance for the PS5 version. Damn, that game's pretty. Like, it is so, like, I'm talking to the point where you have, like, the pores on people's skin when they're doing the cutscenes and the camera's up close on them, like, but done in a way that doesn't feel, like, artificial. Like, it actually, like, it's that
looks
close
natural.
It's that close to almost being like pure CGI and just looking real. But yeah, it's done in a way that looks natural and it looks so good. And I forgot how much damn fun that game is. And the awesome thing is with the adaptive triggers, they made web swinging even more fun because you get the tension on the line now when you're web swinging on Miles on the PS5. So yeah, it's not just hold the trigger, let it go, hold the trigger. Like, you can feel like the whip and the hit and then like the weight of your character as you're swinging against the controller trigger. It's so cool.
And since you did mention The Last of Us, I did see the YouTube channel Gamer Ranks. I think that's how you pronounce it. They did a before you buy of The Last of Us Part 1 on PC. I heard the PC port is having some issues.
They dropped like 2 patches yesterday, I guess. So
okay, I think this video came out last night or yesterday.
Needed some
I've heard
updates.
some problems. So hopefully they get that ironed out because Naughty Dog is an amazing studio, but they've been a first party Sony PlayStation studio.
And
but
then they probably, after that show, they probably got a lot of people playing that game again.
So hopefully they can get that port to looking better and playing better. But.
Well, that's all, folks. On that note, we are going to start shutting things down. Friendly reminder, we do stream the show live every week. Stay tuned to the social media to see when the live streams are because our schedule is sort of in flux right now.
It's a little bit in Aeon flux.
Oh, I see what you did there. If you want to go find out more about us or any of the other shows in the Gonna Geek Network, head on over to GonnaGeek.com. There is a listing of all the other shows on the network. You can also go to www.geeks.live. And that is the live page where all of our live shows stream. So please go check out some other content and tell them that we sent you. On that note, though, do you guys have any final thoughts before we shut this thing down? Anything?
Hills and Villains just got me a new T-shirt to buy. The Anzellans, we fixed the broken. The droid is the broken.
Whatever that is.
You're not caught up on The Mandalorian.
I told you I haven't seen any of season 3. I might just wait till it's all out so I can just binge it and be done with it.
Oh my!
Not to say and be done with it, not like that, but you know. So
Anzellans are the race that Babu Freak is, the tiny droid smiths. There's 3 of them in Mandalorian.
Sure.
They fixed the broken.
But what was I gonna say? My last words. Remember, incels, you're included in the list.
Willie's coming for you is what I'm getting out of this. You just made his list. On that note, we're getting out of here, and we will see you all next week.
They've been on the list.
Thanks for listening to this brand new episode of the All Things Good and Nerdy podcast. Don't forget, we'll be back next Sunday live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central over at live.atgnpodcast.com, channel 3 of the Alpha Geek radio app, and over at our network home at GonnaGeek.com/live. If you have any feedback for the show, please contact us atgnpodcast@GonnaGeek.com on our hotline number at 304-806-ATGN, or even better, go to Twitter and send us a message at ATGN Podcast. The music you've heard in this show is produced by Kevin MacLeod and can be found at Incompetech.com.